Okay, so today I'll return to chess for the first time in a little bit. I can't remember when the last time I played it was. Probably not too long ago, but basically the mini series I was doing with chess was to try to play every bot on the chess until I beat it. And so 1 through 4 was pretty easy, even though for some reason against 4 I struggled just because I was like getting super overconfident. But basically 1 through 5 was easy, and then 6 was very difficult. It took me a very long time. I drew it a couple times, and then I eventually beat it. And so that was meant to be a checkpoint. Then we did the delisted games, at least introduced that as a format. So those are like maybe 3 formats I have going on right now. Is the trying to beat the bots here in chess. The chess bots 7 and 8 are the 2 left, which 7 I feel like I almost drew in one of those where I did pretty well, but then it's the patience factor. Like, you have infinite time, so I mean, if you treat it like that, right, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to do it. But like I always say, that if you sat there for like days and you know, like how people do correspondence, sit there for days and hours and think about every move, yeah, you could play like a GM in that game. You could be a correspondence GM. The difference is obviously you don't always have the luxury of that time, or because you could just go through the tree of moves and really, eventually figure things out. It's just, yeah, you shouldn't have to do that. So series 1 would be that. The other thing I can do with chess, because again, I failed both of my permadeath challenges. The chess permadeath challenge, which was, I couldn't fall below 1700 in classical after reaching 1750, and then I did. So then I had to delete my account. This is like a dummy backup one. So I can't actually play online rated or even unrated, like just against viewers. If they challenge me, I'll do it. And I don't know whether I said I could do variants or not, but even if I do, it shouldn't be on here. So this side is either just to play viewers if they want to, unrated, and to play blindfold games. I guess I can do that rated if I want. That was kind of the, only form that I said would be allowed. And then also, well, I guess I used my little square off thing too, but whatever. That's meant to be unrated as well. And because it wasn't working with chess.com either, which I'm supposed to be banished from there too, because again, I failed my permanent challenge on there. That was from before, like, and I often use like one to unlock the other. Like, it'll be, oh, I failed my chess.com one, and like, oh, because I didn't hit 1500 rating on time, or I got to 1350 then fell below 13, right? I always do that 50 increment thing. So the point is, then I say I can unlock it by getting to 2000 on here, then I can reopen the account. The problem is then I failed this one too on the way to that, which would have been a while anyway, but because I failed here too now, I'd say, oh, the recourse is I have to get like to 2000 FIDE in real life context, or maybe if I beat the level 8 bot, that almost should count, but I have to do something like almost in person over the board and stuff, because we failed in both capacities here. The other site I use is like that Chess Hotel, or like any other site, or even I could use, or even like I was doing that permadeath, like Steam chess game gauntlet, like games that are inspired by chess, or somehow, they're not going to be necessarily multiplayer active, because none of them really are, but like every chess video game is just completely dead. Nobody ever actually fucking plays it. But the point is that, yeah, we could do those where we play each one till we lose a game. And so there's an infinite amount of those. So again, either doing the bots, either doing blindfold stuff on here, either doing viewer games, not rated games. I can't ladder like normal. I could do the video game gauntlet, just play like chess inspired video games. I could use other sites. Chess Hotel, is really the only one that I was seeing as being substantial or somewhat active for whatever reason. It's maybe relatively new, but it has some activity. I don't know how good it really is. And then the other 2 series, like I was saying, was the delisted games gauntlet, like where I play stuff that's about to be delisted just before it goes offline. There was like a Warhammer game like that I almost wanted to check out because of that, but since I haven't played that series at all, I don't know if I would want to 2 of them too. Or one of them already is gone. That's so ridiculous. I don't know why this makes me think of like General Zod or something. I can't see his face too well, but like Michael Shannon, it almost looks like. Or maybe it is. I don't even know. That is so dumb, though, that they... Right, that they would do that. I don't know why either. But no, I've never played any game in that series at all. And I don't even know what genre it is. Like, I think maybe it varies, but it's kind of... like RTS probably, stuff like that. Yeah, we have that delisted thing. We could look at stuff that's about to be delisted. Right, and then finally we have what I was doing was a mini series of Clash of Clans, not Clash of Clans, Clash Royale, which is actually surprisingly pretty good. Obviously, mobile card game that is on PC now too, and it's like a real-time card game, obviously. So yeah, let's try the bot, and then I'll do some other things. I almost want to do 960, or wait, I almost wanted to do 960. Just because of all the hype and stuff recently about variants, and of course the whole irony with that is the fact that you know, I always thought those were more interesting. Like, I was ahead of the curve with that. Like, I even said when I came back to streaming, oh, I'd rather just do variants, or that's all my interest is. Like in chess, I don't want to do just traditional whatever. But then I was so disgusted how bad I seemed to be at regular chess that I felt like, oh, I almost have to do it right until I get to a certain point, and then I'll... That seems like such an easy target, but it'll get pinned. Right, that's how dumb it is. It'll actually get pinned. So I would take with either one, then they pin it, and then they can start to do something with that. And I don't want this trade to even happen. Yeah, the little Clash Royale series, those are 3 distinct series. Playing chess in some indirect form where it's not the typical rated ladder type stuff that I would do. And then number 2 is the fact that, you know, the delisted stuff. And then finally, you have the ability to do the, whatever, I could call it like a mobile game gauntlet almost, but just starting with the Clash Royale. Oh yeah, like I was gonna make a joke, like why or how is fuck. Like how Clash Royale, you can make fun, oh, mobile game, whatever. How is it objectively more complicated than chess? Oh, because there's more units, way more units, because there's so many cards to choose between. The fact that you can even choose your own deck and make it. There's 8 cards in the deck, and how many cards total, and the variety of which ones you can use with which. And the fact that it happens in real time, so every second things are happening. And the fact that the board is bigger, like there's more squares to fill up with units. And the fact that, you know, you have all these different abilities and, you know, considerations like flying units and different things like range units, melee units, units that attack structures, units that attack only minions, units that, you know, are like the towers and turrets and stuff. Like, so it's objectively more complicated. So I hate when people use that as a measure, like, oh, chess is so good because it's so complicated. Also, it's not, because objectively it's one of the simplest games. Again, at the human level it doesn't matter because it's still hard for people, but you know, if it was a measure of, oh, it's so good or so popular because it's so complicated, there's so many things that are more complicated. Shogi, where you can place the piece down, or even variants of chess are themselves far more complicated by that same measure. So you would say, okay, 960 because it's the same thing, but it's just gives you far more different positions to work with, or Crazy House because you have that you can place the piece back down, or if you just make the board bigger, 10 by 10, or you know, any of those are objectively more complicated. So yeah, even Clash Royale, that's such a good, simple take, but it's accurate. Like Clash of Clans maybe too, although I don't know. Probably, again, you just have more units, you have more spaces. It happens in real time, which is a big thing of complexity, right? Because this is like the false duality opposite interpretation I talked about with this before. People will point out the billions and billions of positions and moves that you can make in chess. Like even in the first couple moves, they'll come up with these exponent, insane numbers to show how complicated it is. That's actually the opposite, because since it's turn-based and since it is only 8x8 squares and limited in scope that way relative to other things that would be objectively more complicated, the fact that you can even count the number of possibilities shows you it's not one of the most complicated things, versus anything that happens in real time doesn't mean it's not complicated. It just means it's so complicated that you wouldn't even be able to count that. Like, you can't count the number of moves in League or Counter-Strike or something, because every second something is happening actively, right? Whereas here it's a fixed set thing. Like, oh, if I do one simple action, it's a big deal, and you'll count the number of those one simple actions I can do. You wouldn't do that in a real-time experience, even like a sport, because every second things are happening. So it's so complicated that you can't even measure it, versus the fact that you can, so it's a bit of a fallacy. Oh, look how many billions and billions of exponent positions you can have and moves you can make in this 8x8 board, turn-based board game. Oh, but in any real-time situation, it would be way more than that, because every second you have more options available than just a few that you'd have here on any given move. So you're looking at it in like a reductive way. You're looking at it differently than you would something else, right? You'd say, oh, look how many options you have and how many different positions there can be. But that would be true in anything else with at least 8x8 squares and this many units. Like Polytopia is objectively, there's more units, there's more spaces to cover, there's more mechanics, so it's objectively more complicated. So it's not a big achievement to be that. That doesn't mean it's better or worse, but I hate when people use that as an argument, right, for the quality of why people like it or whatever, so, or why it's so good. The point with that is the simple fact that, yeah, you could say that, oh, Clash of Clans is objectively more complicated than chess, or Polytopia, or Clash, all more complicated than chess, Clash Royale, stuff like that. Because again, it's just the fact that you can even count anything that takes place in real time, right? Objectively more complicated, because it's not that, oh, look at these trillions of positions you can have, the fact, which seems like a lot and makes it complicated, but it's the fact that you can even count them, which still means it's less complicated than something that happens in real time. Like, even pretend chess was real time, it'd be like, well, there's still a limit, kind of, because it's turn-based, so it wouldn't really make sense. But yeah, if it was like open world that people sometimes joke about, just like an infinite sized board and stuff, there was actually some little riff on that. There was actually a game like this. Chess 2. I think I even looked at this too, or maybe I had to download it. Or yeah, he's like in a bathroom floor. This is the whole joke. So we want to go there, but I can't. So if you take there, I didn't even calculate that adequately. I'm just so distracted by that. But that's the joke of the day. Just how can it be that I just don't take my time enough when I have infinite time even? But what good players do is they don't really trade, or they deny trades, and they really let some of these threats sit. But I'm too impatient to do that, where I'll just rather, like, I would just rather do it this way. Like, I'm playing at the speed you would in a normal. I mean, that one move took forever, but it's so easy to trigger people though, like that. Like, oh, Clash Royale and Clash of Clans are objectively more complicated than chess, but that doesn't mean that they're better, or that chess is bad, or they'll even personalize it like, well, then how come you're not better? Or even if you were, that wouldn't change or validate anything. It's like, I'm not necessarily good at those things either, or countless other things. So you know, it's not saying personally or even on a human level that that's the case, but to the point that it is measurable, or even just to the point as that being used as a metric, like complexity equals higher quality or better experience, which isn't necessarily always true in that, but that's what people sometimes pose it as. Oh, it's complicated, this is why we like it, whatever. The reality is that if complexity is that criteria, then it's kind of inconsistent, because you realize what that actually means, that countless things is one of the least complicated games done by that metric. So if you, I mean, there is adequate cover on there, but it doesn't seem that bad yet, but then something always happens. I wouldn't mind this trade just in a basic sense, or I could do, no, I can't do it. You see, my way of playing is too simple-minded, which sometimes does work pretty well too. Okay, I'm fine with that. So that'll guarantee another trade too, or... Oh, shit. Now you get into like an uncomfortable position of just... You'll push this, right? Because if I don't do it, then you're setting up for something here. That's a very dangerous spot for the rook to be in such a way that I could take there, but I could just do it and sort of try to deal with it. In fact, that should almost allow me to take this, but then you'll take here is the problem. Like I could take the, and this even sets up for some cool stuff later, because what happens is if he moves that, I can take, so he can't even move that, so it makes it guarantee that I can take this. You can take this, but the thing is that you could try to take this. Meanwhile, I'm taking this. Oh no, but now I can't do that. So if I take, you take, I mean, I can still do it, but this is where you got to think maybe a little bit harder. You could set up for a double stack or even like a triple stack on this basis. And then we can, it's a very odd structure that he's going for. Now it's open front. See, I could even do that. I could just do a trade right now, even though it costs me a pawn, but we load up here. See, like, this doesn't seem like so one-sided, not to jinx it now, but it doesn't seem really that he's that great. Level 7 should be very good, though, compared to a clown like me. So he's almost going to trap his stupid-ass thing. Like, isn't it actually trapped? Oh, it would be, but obviously the queen covers the problem. If I go here, it's trapped for something, but the thing is that the queen would have to be dislodged by this. And the reason why is because of the fact that, like, if I almost put it here, then it wouldn't matter. Then I could actually trap it. No, but then you can still go there. Fuck. You go like, you know, I don't like using the arrows even though I feel like cheating, because again, so much of it is just visualization, which I can do sort of partially, like even blindfold I can do, but it just takes me forever, or it's not always the greatest. But this just seems odd what I'm doing, but this take, and then they'd be able, wow, this is actually kind of bad. Is, yeah, I opened myself up almost to that, because okay, again, shouldn't the trap thing still sort of happen now? Yeah, I get sort of careless later on in the game. That's what this always teaches me, is like, oh, it's gonna come down to the end game in such a way that, you know, they're good enough at that. It's still actually fine, but it's just questionable because now like, oh, you can try to take this as an open file. But you got to really think hard where he's going to go, and the answer is he can't check from there. And my bishop might be pretty good. I'm surprised he's even playing it like this. That he's bringing the thing. Oh, shit. So I can't take there. I could do this, actually. He would take, I would take. So you can't give a check either here. Oh, okay, of course. Of course. Again, that's not characteristically... I mean, I guess at some point it would come into time pressure, but it's like... You know, it's not really a full effort. I feel like I do fine though throughout most of the game. It really, what this has shown me in some of the previous ones too, like even level 6 and stuff, is it seems like the end game is really all that matters. Like I can play it pretty well most of the way, and then you're able to, bizarre that you would trade there and not just try to mate. That's almost like a human thing. Like you think, oh, it'd be easier if I just promote, but like would it be bad enough to get a stalemate? Like it's good, but it doesn't seem that good. Again, I'm doing a lot of surface level. I'm not taking as much time as I could. And it just feels like these are things that I could normally easily do or see. And that if you do, you would lose against like a 1200 or something. So it's not like that big of a deal. Right? It wasn't anything like super crazy that it did. Let's do the procedure, as Kramnik would say, but or I love that when Gary Kasparov complains about Deep Blue cheating. Like, dude, the whole point is that it's cheating, like it's the engine, but like that it was getting human help as well. But the whole irony with that is like, sure, humans can help it as much as you want because those humans couldn't beat Gary anyway. So it's like, maybe it doesn't show the full merit of Deep Blue being able to beat Gary just period, but the whole irony of that being assisted, like, oh, you can, you know, like pretend Magnus plays the best version of Stockfish right now. And you say, oh, it wasn't fair though, because the humans behind the scenes were helping it too. It wasn't just doing it on its own. They were kind of selecting stuff out or whatever. Would that matter? Because again, the point is that Stockfish is better than humans anyway. So humans should be able to do whatever they want. And it's like, but I get the point. Maybe it's like, oh, it's assisted at that point. But the fact that people can even assist it shows you that, you know, those people aren't good enough to beat Gary anyway, so they're doing something they couldn't do normally with its help. So that's what the best players would only need, is like to put that over the edge a little bit. Like you'd be winning, but that's why cheating is so hard to detect, since we're talking about the whole Kramnik thing. Like you would just pick like one move. It wouldn't be like, oh, some 1200 rated player is like 2700 and it's only because they cheat, right? Like, oh, Hans Niemann, assuming he even, whatever, he didn't cheat obviously over the board that was ever proven, that I had called that at the beginning, that's just a witch hunt. But the point is, and nobody still apologized, and he's been cast as a villain, even though he's really kind of the victim in that, the false accusation part of it. But it's like, it's not like, oh, some 1200 is going to be a GM because of cheating. It'd be like, oh, a 2500 is a 2700 because they, you know, use it in key points, or even like the accuracy or analysis online, right? Again, I would have no interest in this, but just on a logical level, you have to understand what it means that, like they wouldn't have to cheat every move. They could just be like, okay, I'll play the best I can, and then if I'm losing, then I'll do a couple moves to try to come back in it or whatever. So then their accuracy in the end will only be like an 89 or 90, whatever. It won't be like 99. So this notion that, oh, anybody who cheats would have to be super obvious is wrong, because you could be a very good player. It could be an evenly matched game, but then you just make a few key plays that make the difference that don't seem too sus because, oh, he made an engine line move, top engine move, but he only did it once or twice when he really needed it. So now it's hard to say that, oh, maybe he just came up with that, right? You wouldn't have to do it the whole game. So that's why it's so impossible. I think Magnus even said something like that too, that like, oh, he could be cheating and you would never know because it would just be like one move or one little thing, right, that he would do. He wouldn't need to do it all the time. And yeah, like you can just never tell. Like there's so many problems with that, so I can sympathize somewhat with like the whole feeling of, oh, he's a former world champion and he's losing all these 2200s or IMs and stuff. Like, yes, he could have lost his touch. Yes, he's a boomer. He can barely click and stuff. But I would be frustrated too, probably. Just like it feels odd that like all of a sudden online you never know what somebody's doing or if they're doing something. I was doing this cute thing. Yes, you just go for this simple triple stack, which I always ridicule and say like it almost never happens or it almost never should happen. But this is a drawish kind of game. Like, let's just see what we were supposed to do. Okay, trade. He doesn't even take. I mean, obviously he will, but yeah, look how this is setting up to be sort of a drawish type of thing. It's just the kind of positions that I play are like that. Like, this is what we were supposed to do. Nothing super crazy attack, nothing instructive. Like, that's the kind of point of it that I really understand. After a certain amount of time, I kind of got that. That like, oh, it's better just to play drawish because nobody's ever gonna give an opportunity, right? It's never super obvious. It's never just a lot of trading. Like, why couldn't I have done this, right? There's nothing that they were doing that was so impressive, and so I think my style of play works really well if my opponent doesn't know. Well, you could say that with anything, I guess, but if my opponent doesn't know what it is, so for example, you know, if they know that, oh, he's trying to play defensively, he's bad at attacking, he's whatever, then they can deal with it. But if they don't do that, now you go through all this tedium just hoping they make a mistake and trying to convert something. But yeah, we have that open world thing, which I forget. Oh, you do actually have to download this shit. So it just kind of keeps going every time you move outside of the space of the board, which I think you can only move like one space outside at a time. It starts out like, oh, 8 by 8, but you can move one square outside. And then the more you do that, or maybe not, I forget. But it keeps stretching out kind of as you go. So what else did I want to do? I mean, I could do that hotel thing, become the best player on there because it's a dead site mostly, whatever. Or there's something maybe on here that I wanted to do. I can't quite remember. Yeah, that was relatively okay, honestly. It wouldn't have been a big deal. But it's just like, you know, am I stealing somebody's content by doing this? Like, oh my goodness, nobody's even going to understand what's going on. And it's kind of the window dressing stupidity of faster chess. Again, it's just to show off. Like, there's no real meaning to it. Because by that same logic, you could say, oh, those same players could be better if they just didn't do that. Like, this isn't the best game they could play. So it'd be like, oh, you're so good that you're playing Bullet. But then, oh, why don't you play like Magnus? But, you know, why not play the best you possibly can? It would assume that like you're already so good that you have nothing left to do, but you're not, right? You're not even, like, let's say you're an IM and you're showing off in Bullet. It's like, oh, why don't you become a GM then in Classical or overall or any other thing? It's like, yeah, calculation can be interesting. I kind of want to do 960, but again, I won't do it on here. This is a rare high-rated Classical player when like nobody ever does that because everybody feels like everybody's cheating, which again, I can't blame you for feeling that way on online because you never know. Anybody could do doing it anytime. They don't like to say it typically, oh, this guy farms everybody too. But yeah, with these kind of formats, as much as I like Classical too, it just makes it so hard to determine anything. So let's maybe try that chess hotel shit here in a minute. Okay, so here it's my first time playing on Chess Hotel in a while, which again seems like a somewhat active site at least, but maybe more so at the low level. Like, again, that would be maybe more so the criticism. Like, you know, if you're a higher level player and you're actually looking for 2000 and stuff, you might not find any overall. There's maybe even like a ranking, yeah, like the highest rated player is 1600. Like, how does that even make sense? Maybe because everybody's so bad, it makes it seem like I could Why the fuck is he doing that? But no, what I'll do is I'll do like the game mode. Where is 960 though? We'll do the game mode sort of variant permadeath thing. Like I'll play, I won't do all of them, but like I'll do this row, right? So like we'll do bullet 1 minute until we lose, then we'll do blitz 3 minutes till I lose, then we'll do 10 minutes till I lose, then we'll do 960 10 minutes till I lose, right? To see how long we can last with these. I don't like bullet, and in fact you can't even do pre-moves on here apparently or whatever. But no, the whole clicking speed and shit is kind of annoying that even is a factor. I should try to just play it in a solid kind of way. That like I'm probably better than these people, but I just am too slow, so that's not how I would normally do it either. It's too tempting to do stuff that you wouldn't normally do. Like, I can't. I don't know, like what that even was, but now you have to take there. Otherwise, I could double take. Okay, time. Fucking the setup on the site isn't the greatest. He could have just took. Dude, I'm trying to like right click to cancel. Okay, take. I just kind of start to play differently too much of how I normally would. But still not that bad. I think I blundered like one piece outright overall, but it's a situation where I'm still in a good spot mostly. So he's up basically the bishop. And the reason why that's a good thing is because of the simple fact that he's going to take there. It just feels sort of nonsensical what you're doing. Like, I just can't. It's just not my type of thing. And it's still coming somewhat down to time, but if you weren't down by that much, right, then you could still flag him or do something. But it's a situation where... Oh my god. Fucking... Again, you can't pre-move. Maybe that's deliberate somehow to... So white wins on time, which is utterly fucking shameful, but the point is you should try to play a little bit more solid and not get so psyched out by time in the beginning. But to me, it's sort of not only not instructive, but it's sort of anti-instructive. It's kind of like, you know, it just goes to the point of rewarding you for all the wrong things. Like, I'm losing, I'm playing badly, but it doesn't matter. It really, for low rated players to fall in love with that because, oh, streamers do it and like, oh, it's flashy and show off, it's the worst thing to do. It shows you don't really like the game and you kind of diminish the game because, oh, you make a mistake but it's okay because you're fast, or oh, you win even though you played badly, or oh, you don't even know what's going on, you're not processing it, you're not good enough to really know, which is fine if you're not good enough. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's like, why would you, again, like I always say, why would you speed run a game that you're playing for the first time, right? Who would do that? Like, oh, what's something that just came out? What was the big game on like the Switch or whatever? The whatever, some brand new game that just came out. Like, let's say Breath of the Wild just came out, and what was it? There was some biggest Switch games. What was the big release for that? The flagship. Cyberpunk. What was it besides Mario Kart? Whatever, like, oh, you're playing Breath of the Wild for the first time, and why would you want to speedrun a game that you're playing for the first time? No, you want to take your time, you want to get immersed, whatever. It's the same thing, even though, ironically, I'm the guy who does permadeath first playthroughs. Like, who would want to do a permadeath run on your first playthrough of a game? But it's a situation where, obviously, I do that because it's interesting, but in a way, you know, that makes it feel like real life. Like, oh, you know, you have to, if you die, it's actually over and you can't play it again, maybe ever. But did that really just... Well, first of all, that's not what I meant to do, but Why do I play it so differently? See, I get psyched out by the time too much. In a way that, you know, like it's still fine. You're not going to immediately lose because of that. It's just a situation where you just start to make random moves and just quickly, like, watch him convert this advantage, and it's going to take him forever to do it. And the reason why is because it's just not that simple. That undoubles my pawns. It can block the thing here. We have the bishop pair. You go here. If they take, I take. You shouldn't really try to trade if you're me, but he might blunder that. What? We go here, and he could give a check there almost to do something. We could get the cover there. Again, time-wise, it's not really so... Wait, what? Time-wise, it's not really so bad for me, but I don't know. Both of these were uninstructive, stupid, unenjoyable. Giving checks tends to drain their time a bit, though, especially when they're unexpected. Assumed he was going to do that, but... So we somehow win again. I mean, look, dude. I'm not some expert clicker or degenerate flagger, but this is just showing you it's the wrong essence of the game, but I'll do it to stay alive for now. It's just very, very dumb. Like, who enjoys doing that? Why would you feel like, let's try to actually play solidly at this pace, which I'm capable of doing because there's certain things I do that are so simple, but I keep trying to do it differently. Like, this is how I would normally play. Everything's fine. Do the V-shaped structure. Like, why do it any differently? That's a good opening because it opens the king, although maybe that's what he wants to do. People do a lot of aggressive, unusual things in this because you can get away with them a bit more. This site is very clunky, though, somewhat. Like, there could be some great vulnerability there with respect to the fact that that's open could be a problem. You go to here, you go to here. If you raise, I can take. Give a check. I could not take. And then I'm being very slow, but somehow it's not entirely punishing me to try to trade pieces off, which he's not letting me do. Oh my god, look at the knight. Look at the knight. It's always a thorn in my side. Okay, I don't know what's happening. He can raise this. Okay. It's just like there's nothing instructive or anything going on. Even if you are really good, it's like, you know, even if you are good, you still sometimes don't know what you're doing with that, but you could definitely just start to take on there, but he chose not to. I don't know what's going on. He could almost just give a check and it'd be fine. He wants a rematch. I won't even do that necessarily because then it might feel like, oh, it's a paid viewer somehow, or it's like a paid actor kind of, or farming the same person over and over. But okay, let's just try to do it. I mean, we'll get like a certain rhythm with it at some point where I'm able to actually kind of know what I'm doing, because it just becomes in repetition. And my style of play should actually translate pretty well because it's so sort of stale and repetitive. So like I kind of have a rhythm or idea of what I'm doing. It just doesn't mean that it's good, or I just don't have the nerve sometimes to actually play like that. So now the knight is a target. And the reason why is because if this moves, then I'm screwed. So he may try to dislodge that. And that's exactly what he's trying to do. So we can go here for now. And this will be wide open, though, uncovered. You could raise it. It'll be pinned now. We could take here. I'm being a little bit too slow, but it does seem like there's either no pre-move or I don't know what's happening. They have a bishop pair, I have a knight pair, which is a bit of a nightmare. But I'll still do it. You go here. Oh, that could be a bad disaster anyway, though. Fuck. Whether he's gonna move that pawn or not. Or it doesn't give you the greatest feedback in terms of checks and stuff like that. Alright, that's fine. I'll take okay. I'll take trades. Okay, he doesn't even do it. I can't do it. Okay. I'll take trades anytime, and the reason why is because that should simplify the position a lot and so forth, but I just gotta go in degenerate flagging mode. But I swear the knight just sort of short circuits your brain, or it just kind of I can't even do this, man. I don't know what it is. Like, it's not. But yeah, the wins are low quality, the losses are low quality. Like, the whole experience is just garbage. You can't right click here to it's very unintuitive, this site, I'll say that. You can't right click to cancel, you can't do anything the way you would want to, but you can't pre-move seemingly. Maybe there's a setting for it, but let's see what we got here. Now we'll switch over to like 3 minutes, which again, if I just do my basic style of play, that's often what happens in a normal course of a game anyway. Like, for example, even in a 10-minute game, that often, you know, is what I play. You're not always using the whole 10 minutes, although I probably would try to, or you probably should, but that was typical, you know, bullet frustration, stupidity. Yeah, let's try to do what we can here. I hate showing these ads, but it's almost impossible not to sometimes. I don't care, man. Fuck. What is this shit, man? You go like this, maybe. You bring this to here, and you just give it up for nothing. So I don't know what that is. There's no need to... Oftentimes, the best move with the queen is just to move it back. Like when you... It seems like it would get in the way too much. When you do anything with the queen, you take the pawn in the middle or whatever. You just decide to move it back to where it was, so it doesn't just keep getting threatened. You go to here. He's not really doing a whole lot with this queen still. Or with anything. Ah, oh, fuck. Doesn't feel like he can threaten me too badly, but it is an annoying spot. Like, he's playing super hyper aggressive. This would be the main point of attack. It almost feels like I should queenside castle or do something different. So again, now here time shouldn't matter as much. I mean, we already won a piece, even though it wasn't really very substantial. Like, I didn't do anything really to earn it. This is good, and then we'll raise over to here. That's still adequately covered. This would just be a simple trade attempt, which I do stuff like that too much. Or the real point of that was I was trying to castle. Right, and the reason why is because, you know, I didn't do it the proper way. This could be extremely dangerous, though. Holy shit. Like, what is happening? You can't go there, but you can go here. Dude. What the fuck is that? I just don't even care. Like, it's fine. Now, this, if I lose, then I don't have anything to complain about, but it just ruins the whole experience. Like, it's not what the game is about. you know, if you don't like it, then just don't play it. But like, don't do this. It's a slow, repetitive, boring, drawish kind of game. And if you don't like it, then don't play it. But don't give me this shit with, oh, we're gonna try to turn a turn-based game into a real-time game by trying to do bullet and all this kind of shit. Like, that's just not how it works. I'm putting a lot of pressure. I don't know why I'm doing this. Like, this is incredibly stupid. Right, this is not normally how I would play, or I wouldn't even attack. If you go here, if you take, I take. If not, I can unleash into something. Take and check. You do this here. We get a fork. See, they're just making too many mistakes in the opening. And again, in a 10-minute game where they should have plenty of time to think. Now, if you can't even take, you got to move a knight. Take. If you obviously value the bishop more, or now I could even check and take. So now, maybe the one problem with that is the fact that we've kind of pinned the thing into here. But it's generally okay because of the simple fact that we could still cover it back or do something else. So if you move the pawn, maybe he'll have attacked there, but it's not a big deal. And you also have the ability to consider that, you know, just trade just for the sake of it at some point. Yeah, some people will make it easy for you. I don't know why, like, he played worse in this mode than in the, or like, than people are playing in the other modes. But yeah, don't, you know, it doesn't mean you have to change your style of play and do all that just because you, wait, you could have just taken there anyway. Resign there. It's not like that move was very significant, but just the whole thing was kind of dumb, especially from the beginning of, from the beginning, he gets forked pretty quickly. There's going to be the same people. Oh, that's what's lame about this site. I'm even saying it has some activity. But I love that when I beat people that it's like stealing a Charles Barkley expression that he has, like, I've never been to college, he says, because he obviously played basketball and didn't go to college. Or, no, he did get whatever. That he didn't graduate, I guess. So it's like, he says, I don't have a college degree, but I've got a lot of people that work for me who have one. So I could say the same thing here with openings, right? Where I don't know openings, but I've beaten people who do. Or I've never studied chess, but I can beat people who have. So it's like, I might not know the opening themselves, and sometimes my opponent would be trolling me, or some of my viewers, like, oh, they you know, they're telling me about openings, or, oh, this is the nuance and this and that, and they're identifying what I'm doing, and it's like, I don't even know what I'm doing or what it's called, but I can still just do it. So if you could bait this shit out there, that'd be beautiful. So now that's in a little bit of trouble. I would take, they would take. It still doesn't matter because they still can't do it. I mean, they can still take with the pawn, but it's worth a try at least. You just got to think ahead all the time where, oh, now it's, oh, now they're fucked. Because, see, why are people so bad in Rapid? Or, oh, I guess it's the same guy, so I don't mean to be picking on him, but this makes me seem better than what I actually am. But it's a situation where could be playing into some sort of cheeky mate coming up, but I just have to be careful. Or even this is kind of cute because, you know, you're going to get one or the other. So it's like what I call the fake fork. It's not the true fork because you're not winning the piece outright, but you're also, you know, you're forcing a trade of one or the other. So, like, here I wouldn't even mind, even though it opens the king and even though that's annoying, I'm willing to do it just because of how badly I typically want to trade, and I'm playing this almost like it's blitz too. This is what I mean. Like if I was playing this guy in blitz, I could have easily beaten him even in that time, and it wouldn't have posed a problem. But now it doesn't give you any feedback on the checks. Like maybe, oh, I could have just done that. Some of it is even intentional, but it's just odd. So I mean, I even missed that too. I'm playing too fast, so maybe he's queuing up for 10 minutes, or maybe he's joining mine that as host. Yeah, it is indeed the S word if you play against me. Accurate title. Then I always get cocky and then end up actually losing like something. Like nobody on the site should be able to beat me, not because I'm so good, but because everybody's so bad or average. Reddit shouldn't be that big of a deal. You have to really put a little extra effort though that I often don't do. Or, you know, just double check even if you think you know what you're doing. And even as much as I hate draws, these are the two ironies of my realization with chess. I hate draws, but my style of play is kind of slow and defensive and often leads to draws, more so than, you know, anything else that you might do, regardless of level that you're playing at. And then number two is that my positions are also closed pawns, locked pawns, stale, like that. That also makes the knights better, even though I hate knights. So that's the problem, is that even though it seems like that's something of value, the reality is that it's not, because you can cover it with the dark square bishop, but you're going to choose not to. And the reason why is because you thought that was a cute thing to do. And so we have the light square bishop, 2 knights. They have the dark square bishop, 2 knights. We can't take there. You could take, I could take, you can't take. Nothing too crazy is happening, but again, we're still playing sort of too fast. Or I always love how my icon actually has that photogenic quality in these sort of banners and profile icons. Just a little shush is kind of conveyed pretty well. So we would need to do this, but even that doesn't work because you're not really winning it. It's just like, you know, it would be covered by the knight, first of all, even by doing that, but even with the bishop too. So now you're in a position where he brings the knight. So, I mean, I'll gladly take that trade without hesitation either. Now, this would open the king in a way that I would normally consider to be undesirable, but so he could have done that first, I guess. Or wait, but the queen would have been covered no matter what by this other knight, so it's fine. You go here, but I don't really want to do that. So he could have opened the king. That's the main thing he did, I guess, wrong, that he could have done that first, I guess. So those kind of little in-between things can be an issue. It would still be the same material, but this pawn would be here, right, in a very ugly kind of display. So you can do this. This is one of my few attacking sort of things that I do, where I open the pawn here and try to double stack the rooks. Or I'm actually the weird type who does it like where if they don't take there, I'll just keep going instead of taking myself. And then I'll try to use that pawn, which sometimes does pay off, but typically when I look in the analysis, you're not meant to do that. You're typically meant to take and open that file. Similar to positions with the bishop where it's like, you know, I just keep my little aesthetic structure, but you're supposed to try to open it to allow the bishop to be effective. Like, look at the way his pawns are arranged. And my bishop, like, you're not really using it to its full potential, but it's still in a position to... And that seems almost like a bad move, but it's a situation where I could bring my rook back. Oh, God. Alright, that was pretty good. I gotta give it to you there. In fact, I'm almost willing to do it the other way. They would take, I would take. No, I don't know. Fuck. See, that's one of those brilliant moves that actually is like, okay, I can accept the fact that you were able to do that, even though it seems kind of dumb and shocking. Like, I don't know what to do with that. You could almost put it here, because then, oh, if I take, then you take, but holy shit, man. What is happening with this guy? How is he so good? Actually, I baited you because now, oh, you can't escape that, even though maybe something could happen with that, but I almost needed to because he's playing so well and he's up material. Fuck. You can still do this, and then regardless what happens, you know, you would take, I would take. Now it is even material, so now it comes down to the battle of the pawn, so we both blundered there in such a way that this is still covered. So you have. This is where the knight just becomes annoying because he can't do either of those things. So now he could easily win where he promotes that, I guess. Like, why can't the fucking knight do anything, man? Now this would be free to move and fucking. But I need the knight there because you go here, take, but there'd still be cover. If you go there, I take. I mean, even this should theoretically work because if you go here now, the king can walk across, but in that much time, his knight's gonna run rampant probably over my shit. Like, you see, I'm not even calculating what's happening. I'm just kind of doing it. Now he could sit on that as a cover, but would it really matter? Is the thing. It's not gonna accomplish anything. Or now he's gonna have to bring his king out ultimately. This is an easy enough take. It's just a question of what? But how is that? How is that a logical thing to do? No, but this is no problem because now I can cover both. And the one is being blocked. Like, what kind of clown shit did he just do? He outplayed me a lot in the game, then he's up a piece, and then he gives it back, and then he does this. Like, why did these people just throw when he didn't need to? It's too easy when you're up a piece. Like, now it doesn't matter what he does. Well, unless he wins the pawns, but in fact, the piece that I am up is so shitty that it may not be that good after all. Okay, we need that because of a situation that he might just get both of my pawns, though, is the problem. Because if he goes, okay, he takes, I take and check, this pawn has to stay alive. He might have been able to do something more annoying there, actually, but what I need is to not trade the pawn there. So it could be a draw, too, it'd be fine with me, but. Right, like, I'll accept the draw. I don't know, I probably had other better chances, but. Right, that seems insane that he even gave that back, so. it's a situation where whatever, I'll accept the draw. Which again, I said until I lose, so I can still do it again if I even feel like it, but this is kind of weird. That guy played pretty well though. Even the rapid games I end up playing as if they're faster formats though. Right, like I'm not using the full time or doing what I could really do to the best of my ability. Okay, so today I'll play the level 7 chess spot again. I'll try to hold this mic a little further away. This is actually one of those like handheld wireless ones. You can kind of clip it on your shirt, but I don't like doing that. But yeah, it's we've only played this one a couple times, honestly, because I'd beaten the level 6 spot. How is it only 93 games? Like most of those, that's not even accurate. Most of those would have just, I mean, all of these are pretty much against the bots, but how? How could it only be 93 when some of those were actually blindfold, which is what the point of those. That's actually not so bad because the level 6 bot alone took like 20 plus, maybe more. And so this one I've only done a couple times, which is more just like a bonus thing. Beating the level 6 one was actually kind of a big deal that I wanted to do. And who even is this guy? How did I... What were these games that I was even doing? I don't know. I don't really like doing blindfold in this capacity either. Like, it's like online, you could be, you know, like let's do one now, actually. It's just, but how do I even do it? Yeah. You can like put on the thing and then play it, use it by voice, or like you can do partial blindfold. Like, I don't know how it works actually. Whatever, I won't even bother. But again, it's the theory that like you just have to visualize, and anybody should be able to do that. And like at any level, you can do it. Like let's say I'm 1700, I could beat like 1,000 rated player blindfolded theoretically. Right, I just don't even know how to entirely do this. Um, let's do this one first, but then I almost want to try that, and then we can try on the other site. Oh yeah, just like that. But the whole thing with your voice, that way I can actually have my eyes closed maybe the whole time. Like what? Let's try it here. Like, will it even pick this up or what? Yeah, why am I even afraid to do this? Because I wasn't doing it before. Wait, but that's not even what I'm using. Or the problem is then it fucks up with my commentary. Right, like because of what I'm saying. Let me try to play this one like that, and then no, not blindfold though. I can't handle that. See, it might pick up something here that I don't mean to do. It's even trying to do that. Okay, so I'll try to talk last, or I can just keep clicking it off. So let's do pawn e4. So now it's a good way to maybe learn notation because you have to say it correctly. So pawn capture d5. Well, that's weird actually. Normally they always respond from that with the taking with the queen. I don't think I've actually ever seen that move in response. Where it's like, let me see if this mic is right. This one always seems low, but it actually sounded fine. But no, this is like they almost never do that, and so it's not really worth it to try to cover it with these kind of pawns, but I don't see what the meaningful difference with doing it that way is. So, oh no, that's the one thing I can't do. Now, what if you go here? Then it kind of fucks me up. I would take, oh no, I'm supposed to be doing the voice thing. Bishop e2. pawn d4. Seems like an odd move, but it stops the knight from coming in the way that I was trying to. Like this position will just kind of sit. So we'll do pawn c3. Kind of a weird way to do it, but if I take with the knight, they can take here. If they go here, they could take the queen and then double take, but it still wouldn't matter, or maybe it would. They would take with the queen, I would take with the bishop, they would take with the rook, I would take with the bishop, or wait, trading down. I guess I could do that. Pawn capture. And the real issue is that you bring another attacker to this. That would have been the problem, or the fact that you can't necessarily cover that. So this knight's been causing me problems the whole game. That I almost am thinking of doing this, but it wouldn't even solve anything because you could take there. Yeah, it's already kind of a busted, messy kind of position. What if I just go here? Problem is now their knight is gonna come in. Like you just can't even do the opening and okay, even that is okay, I guess. You'll take that with the knight, or they are making sort of unconventional moves that you typically would not expect, though. So, like bringing the knight in there was so much more intuitive. This is actually fine if I castle the other way. It should be okay. I don't know if I should even want to do that, but wait, why? Why? Okay, for all their trick plays and stuff, it's really not that big of a deal. And again, at the speed that I'm going, it also feels like it's not really that impressive because I'm not even using the notation thing anymore or the voice thing. Doing this almost seems like a bad idea, but anywhere that you go with the knight is still going to be problematic for you. But so he moves the knight. Attacking this, so either you have to cover it or move it. I mean, these are all basic things. Like, these are not, things that you couldn't see if you just actually thought about it for any amount of time. So it's, again, I'm just not taking it seriously enough, because this is the kind of bot where you reach to the level that you do actually have to calculate a little bit. Like, even really good players would feel like, let's say it's a 2000 plus even, they couldn't beat it like in, a super, well, they could beat it in a fast format theoretically, but because it moves so fast itself, could a 2200 beat this even moving as quickly as the bot is moving, right? Like, so they take an average of like 2 seconds per move. Could they do it like that? And the answer is, you know what I mean? Like, it would still take a certain amount of thought. I mean, it's unfortunate because, again, it's just more so teaching you the effort and the calculation that if I max out and I do my best within a reasonable amount of time, that's different. But that feels like, oh, that's just a fairly obvious mistake, that it could have been a draw. Like, their opening was a little annoying, but let's see. What am I supposed to do then? Just castle, let it be, and just what? We do that, and then everything else is fine. This allows them to really just, you win one pawn, like that should be the end of the world. And that's always my signature blunder or bad move. Worst move is always the ability to try to go for a trade when, the idea of going for a trade isn't the issue, but it's just like not necessary, whatever. So I almost wanted to do this. Like, I'm allowed to do it only if I play blindfold. And of course, it's hard to even prove that I'm doing that, but let me do this just as a pretend thing to see how that would work. Or I think I was even trying to do the bots blindfolded too, but I don't know how you'd even do this. So I could do my voice, but then I have to at least see where his shit is. Like, okay, let's say I move something. Just based on the notation even. But let's say I don't do that, then just based on the color movement. Right? Like, I don't know if that's a legitimate way to do it. And you would need like a ton of time and shit too. I don't know if I want to do that. But yeah, I was trying that hotel thing again, the only other site that seems to have some activity. I don't think I even lost the last game. It was just I just ended because it was a long enough session, but I should almost try to do this, but it's kind of hard to convey it or to even prove what I'm doing. Okay, let me do one, although again, the time would have to be pretty clear. If we do it in the Zen mode and the blindfold mode, the question becomes that how I became a national master by declining draws. That would have to be my revolution because, or yeah, she became a GM and she did like this nice little giving credit to her first tutor who passed away at like 40 some time ago. What you don't see with all the flash and the streaming and stuff, or even like some of these figures of the past, like how much time did Fisher actually spend studying and doing all this? The assumption when somebody is great at something is like, oh, they it just comes so naturally to them and they didn't put forth the effort. It's actually kind of the opposite. What if they're just putting forth more effort, like with the same resources that everybody else has? So maybe Magnus isn't better because he's actually better. Maybe he just studies more, harder, puts even more time in than the extreme amount of time that other players do. So that's the whole contradiction. It makes it seem like, oh, look how easy they make it look, so they don't even have to put forth the effort or try to study and do all that. Oh, it just comes naturally to them, but that's all you see. But you don't realize they're working just as hard or maybe even harder. It's kind of like that Michael Jordan ad where he's like, oh, maybe I ruined the game because, I made it look easy or whatever. The whole thing is with that. Jordan, maybe it's my fault. Right, this is what you see as greatness. Like, let's just see what the quote is. Maybe it's my fault. Maybe I led you to believe that it was easy when it wasn't. Maybe I made you think that my highlight started at the free throw line and not in the gym. Maybe I made you think that every shot I took was a game winner, that my game was built on flash and not fire. Maybe it's my fault that you didn't see the failure gave me strength, and my pain was my motivation. Maybe I led you to believe that it was a God given talent and not something I worked for every single day. And to be fair, some of his behaviors would indicate that too, like smoking the cigars and whatever, just kind of gambling and messing around. Wouldn't make it seem like that, but okay, so basically classical doesn't exist at a low enough rating to even do this. So that's the sign. I just think those are two things you shouldn't do at a low level, right? Is faster formats because again, you don't know what you're doing anyway, and it's not instructive at all. And number two is you shouldn't do blindfold and stuff like that. Variants, I might say you shouldn't do, but that's just sort of preferential. Like you should, have to get to 2,000 first before you do it. But it's unfortunate though now because since I failed both of these formats, I can't actually do anything. Like I literally am saying like, oh, I'm in the over the board in person phase where I have to go to tournaments and sneak a hidden camera in and do content out of that because I can't. Or maybe you should ask and they'll let you do it, but when you're some unknown clown like me, they probably won't let you do it, even if if you're one of these actual content creators. But it just shows you the sad, almost reversal of how chess would have been typically treated. Like historically, it was always the opposite of that, right? Like there's an elitism to it, which you could say maybe closed it off to popularity. Which some of this is good now, but it's a negative overall feeling that as somebody who just respects the whole nature of that, it's annoying because you're giving credit to all these other things. You got Anna Kremlin doing a magic trick for Levon Aronian. Like, what is all this? Like, he's one of the best players ever, 28-30 at his peak, and he's watching her do a fucking magic trick instead of or even all these other gimmicks like, oh, let me ask you questions, or oh, let me do some other gimmick format. It's like because you're not good enough, you have to kind of hide from that and distract from that with other shit like so I would defer to that, but this is the kind of era that we're in where people are easily impressed by things that shouldn't be necessarily that impressive. I don't know why this thing is so low. Or yeah, like Kramnik, obviously very entertaining, but I can understand his frustration somewhat if I psychologically analyze it. There's three reasons to the Kramnik. Let me actually make a little demonstration. Right, I'll psychologically analyze Kramnik's craziness, and of course he complains too often, and it makes it seem less credible. But here's what I'll actually say, just from a psychological standpoint, right? This is what I'll explain it as. Number one is right the fact that okay, hang on, fucking thing. Okay, number one could be he's washed up. He's an older player. He's kind of past his prime, maybe not in the best form. Maybe some of these younger players are more impressive than he would realize or want to expect. So he's maybe like a bit of a bitter old player in that sense, somewhat. And obviously the fact that he's a former world champion and he's such a great player. Imagine how you would feel. Oh, you're getting beaten by all these little young kids online, and it feels like how can they possibly beat this guy who beat Gary Kasparov, who's one of the best players, of all time, world champion. How can that happen? Right. So that's part of it, that it would be like, how can you even explain that? It's not like this is some ordinary player or even like a GM. This is like, a super GM at that time. You could say again, he's past his prime and frustrated about that or can't believe it. Number two is online is dubious in the sense that anybody could be cheating at any time. And what do I use to merit that? The fact that even titled players, even whoever, again, I would never accuse that, but it's just like um the same people who would accuse Hans Niemann of cheating over the board in a highly vetted in-person event where they x-ray scan you and body search you and all of this, they would accuse him of cheating somehow with anal beads or something there, which you wouldn't believe that somebody in the comfort of their own room or own home and stuff like that, you don't believe that they could do that. Right, that oh, forget about the anal beads thing. Like they can have a thing on the wall, like Kramnik says, or I always said like, oh, somebody could be holding a sign in the outside of the window of an apartment across the street from you, like something that in a way that there's no way you could tell over camera, even if they're streaming or you're watching them. There's no way you'd be able to tell. They could do so many other little things. Somebody, behind the screen doing something. Somebody, somehow giving you cues who's off screen and that you can't see. There's just so many things that you could do. It'd be too easy to do it. There's too much opportunity to do it, and you would never know, right? So anybody could be doing it anytime. That's just the reality of online. That's why you have these in-person events. Why they're considered prestigious or whatever. Or I always make fun of that in like esports in general, right? This is one of my old quotes from a long time ago. It's like you see an ad for an esports event, and it's like, aren't you just so excited to go to this event in person to watch it on a screen? Like it's different than like, oh, you go to watch a sport and you get to see the people actually playing or whatever. Um, I guess you could say the same thing with a movie versus like a play. You're going in person to watch it on the screen, right? The movie as opposed to like a theater where at least the actors are there and they might throw stuff at you or like there's more maybe audience involvement. But with this, it's like this is the ultimate comical element of that because that's just with esports in general that I make fun of that. But imagine, oh, you want to go in person to watch a board game be played on a screen, not even on a board, with the elegance of the wood and whatever element that matters. So there's that frustration too of online twofold, or this I guess kind of ties in the last point is like the boomer clicker kind of mentality that he's slow, he clicks like an old man obviously who it hasn't grown up with computers. He's getting frustrated that oh, I'm getting flagged by all these little 10-year-old kids just because of the clicking speed playing a factor. Again, not the game that he signed up for where he always would have to move the pieces on the board, and he's probably you learn certain tricks with that too that you're supposed to practice that or train that so you can move them as quickly as possible. But now you're getting flagged, you're getting cheesed with online kind of shenanigans. You are losing the little kid, so you can understand the frustration. So those would be the three elements to it. The one of which that's actually valid is the second one, that anybody could be cheating at any time. That's actually fair because you never really know. And again, when a 2300 FM beats Kramnik, one of the best players ever, former world champion, yes, you could say he's washed up and old and just stupid and lost his touch, but you could also say that is a little bit odd. And some of those people probably he's right about. I mean, again, I haven't watched him enough, but then he accuses a lot of the big streamers and title players. That's when he goes too far. But like all these random people, like, oh, some 2200 beats him. And it's like, how could that be? Right? Even if he's past his prime, even if he's washed up, that seems almost impossible, right? That somebody who's not even a grandmaster would just be able to do that. Aided by some of this again, not pure to the game. So even the third one is kind of a fair reason to be upset that you're not losing because of pure chess or their ability or their calculation. Oh, just because they're faster at clicking or they're kind of cheesing with pre moves and stuff like, between pre moves and clicking speed. Those are things you typically don't have to worry about in real life. Like, you can kind of pre move, like where, oh, you write it on a piece of paper or something. Right. Like they show that in Queen's Gambit with Borgov or whatever. But it wouldn't be like in a speed context, like where you keep doing that, right, to be able to save time. So again, you can pre-move. That's not a part of chess that he's used to with the traditional over-the-board thing. The clicking speed is not something he's used to. So unfortunately, those are advantages that they have that are just part of it, but it's part of the form of playing it online that you normally typically wouldn't have to deal with. So I can sympathize with the frustration there. Most people would want to just probably pick on the first one, but it's the fact that yeah, again, he's an older player who was great, obviously washed up a bit maybe. It's the frustration of not knowing anybody could be doing anything online. It's the annoyance that even I share this part, like, oh, that it shouldn't come down to clicking speed or it shouldn't come down to, stupid stuff like that, flagging and whatever it is that people are doing that's not purely tied to the quality of the game. Right, like if you're gonna beat me, just actually beat me. So we'll continue with this where it's like the permadeath time format. So should I reset it or I don't even want to. We were doing these till we lost, and I don't think I lost the last one. In fact, I should be able to check. League games day 4. Where does it show like just draw? Okay, it was a draw. No, but I could become the highest rated player on here because it's so stupid. Like this site's active, but everybody sucks. So the thing is that we'll do this, and then if I lose, we'll do 960. From the perspective that, we can do 960, 10-minute. I just wish there were other better sites for this. Like, it's so dumb. Like, other active sites, but I've kind of fucked up on both of them, so I can't do anything now. Oh, look at that. He almost just played into the dollars made. And again, you might say, oh, you should try that against low rated players or whatever, but you should never try it because it's just not a good thing to do, right? That's like the wishful thinking calculation that I talk about, where it's like, oh, if he does this exact thing, then it's good. But in and of itself, it's not good, so you shouldn't do it. So if he takes there, I take back. That should be fine, actually. Either way, it opens up for the Dark Star Bishop. If you take, I take. And they keep clowning on it. Chat GPT is apparently not that good at chess. Maybe I should play it in a game. Like, it keeps breaking rules and inventing its own thing, which is surprising. That it's so good at so many things, but it can't figure that out, apparently. Like, here I don't know exactly where to go with the queen. This would be one of those good instructive moves to look at. You want it to be somewhere in the vicinity here to still keep attacking. But I don't know if that's the exact square you want to go to. And I'm the weird guy, like I said, who if he doesn't take, I keep going. Even if that's not the best thing to do, that tends to, yeah, see, I'll keep going. I won't take. And now we try to target this. If I go here, it doesn't have nearly enough cover. I almost would go with the other pawn too. So like, what if I do this? I mean, you're going aggressive anyway. Now this might open something up for me to get attacked, but maybe my perception of this is wrong. Like, maybe this is what you are supposed to do. But now this could be a very strong attack, but then I have to finish it quickly enough to do this. Otherwise, then I'm offering up a trade when I'm in a more aggressive position that maybe I shouldn't. do that because that's like almost me letting up a little bit. Because when you're moving the pawns like this, you are trying to go for an attack, clearly. This is like a 1200 title game where, oh, I'm going to lose my shit. Or I mean, I'll make him lose 1200 or he'll prevent me from getting to 1200 that I probably should clearly do here. You could have checked there. You can also take that. So I kind of messed up there because I didn't think of doing that. But then again, you might not be able to cover this going forward. If you go here, we can end Pizant. We kind of messed up the structure. Like, I'm sometimes too concerned with the aesthetic structure of it that sometimes you have to give that up to, do something actually impactful, and you shouldn't care about just how it looks. So now that's still not the greatest. In fact, that'll even end up giving him a cover for that he otherwise wouldn't have had. So that's a little bit annoying. But wait a second, this is actually covered too. So so yeah, this is a pretty decent attack now because you have pin an attack. You can now set up for a double stack. If only the knight could get involved. So often the knight's either in the way or it's not doing anything productive. Seems like the perfect opportunity to do this because either you're gonna double take on this or that because that's still pinned. So even if he covers one with that, I don't think he's gonna have enough to deal with all this together. He moves the king up, maybe, then I would take, he would take, I would take. I could bring the queen here to stack as well. And so, again, you're just putting a tremendous amount of pressure, but it leaves me a little bit open too. So, like, if this doesn't work and he withstands it, then, like, does this work now or not? I would take, they would take, well, that'd be like a 10 for 10, 10 for 9, double rook for the queen thing. I would take, they would take, I would take, they would take, I would check. Oh, it would lead to a pretty clean thing though, because then I would check and then be able to take that. Right, with no problem. Or wait. Wait. Oh, that didn't work the way I thought though. I don't know why I thought I would just win that outright. I mean, I can still just do it, but that's a bit of laziness for me to just. Okay, so that was a little unexpected. I even hyped it up like, oh, it's going to be the 1200 title thing, where either he's going to lose it or I'm going to get it, but it didn't happen. So 1544, somebody was 1600. Is that just like who's online now or the total? Yeah, this site seems okay, but it's like some funny challenge I could do. Like I should try to get to the very top, and I should be able to. Like none of these people should be good enough to beat me. Right, like genuinely, I haven't done like a long haul, long session of chess in a while, so this is a good excuse. So let's actually take it seriously and see how far we can get. A lot of my bad tendencies come more just from trying to take just easy trades and like, you know, being lazy and oversimplifying and stuff like that. So, and I don't have to keep harassing it. It just makes it seem like so wasteful for him to keep moving like that. But, you know, it's tempting to keep going after it with the pawns, but I kind of want to get the structure too that I want. Like he's going to almost trap it at some point here. Okay, that's perfectly fine. Let's see what kind of structure we want. I almost end up doing this because I want the light square bishop here and whatever I'm doing. So it ends up being kind of dumb because you block your own bishop, but that bishop is almost more of a defensive minded bishop where, you know, so now if you take, I take, I wouldn't be able to double take necessarily, but and that's not necessarily where I want that pawn to even be. But I guess now I've kind of... Whoops, what happened? Oh, that's one of like my gaming mouse inputs, like the little fucking button on the side that does that. So if that knight wasn't there, that's almost a form of calculation unto itself. Like if that wasn't there, then something good happens. So you have to figure a way to try to get rid of it. That by the time you realize they might forget it. Right, like if I attack it with the bishop and take, you got to get them to focus on so many things at once that they start to mess something up. Now they might either try to move it out of harm's way or they might let me take it, but even the act of doing that still wouldn't do anything because they could take with that. I mean, either way you get a pawn out of it though. Like it's not as good as what I thought, but this should still be takeable. It's a very weak version of what I was hoping to get, but I think I kind of figured out why the mic is like that though. It's not so much the mic itself, it's because the settings on my OBS are meant for a different mic, right? That it kind of lowers it a bit so it's not as loud. So that must be really what it's reacting to. That maybe those settings aren't the best for this, but then I am too lazy to change it, so it's fine. Yeah, let's turn this into a bit of a challenge, at least like the bottom feeder effect of how far can I go on a dead site that isn't competitive at all, that has a bunch of low rated clowns on it. Can I be the best of that, like king of the sandcastle mindset? Now, this is kind of cute because you can just set it there and there's nothing he can ever do about it now. Right, he has the wrong colored bishop, so he can't trade that. He wouldn't trade down a rook for it, so this is like an octopus bishop in a very prime position, covering the anchor, you know, one of the key pawns. Also, you know, covering back, attacking the king. Very strong dark square diagonal there, even though it's like what could make it stronger if it was going in both directions, but then it wouldn't be covered, so I guess it's about as good as you're gonna get. And so now you have this as well. So this could be very strong as well. This could be strong too if he somehow moves his pawn, but I don't see how he's ever going to do that. So now I can just do this. Just period, because... Wait. Oh, it doesn't give you the best feedback when it comes to checks. You can still continue to cover it. He can try to go here with the rook. But I would take, he would take, I would take, he would take, I would take, he would still take. So I almost need another one in here. Now let me try to get him to move the queen away. I do like that position though of the bishop. That seems very, very strong. They just do such simple things that it turns into, let's try to do the triple stack. And the funny thing is this still won't be enough now because he brought the queen back. So if you do the math, I would take, he would take, I would take, he would take, I would take. Wait. He would take, I would take, he would still take with the king. Right? So it still isn't enough somehow. I take with the rook, he takes with the rook. I take with the bishop, he takes with the rook. I take with the queen, he takes with the queen. I take the rook, he takes with the king at the end of the sequence. He does that again, but now he just blunders the queen. Which I guess if the bishop was going to go there, but it wouldn't have mattered because... Or he would have had to cover in front and do it in some wrong order, like the queen's in front of the rook, but... Is there even like a chat functionality on here? Oh, here. But yeah, okay, we're going to try to tear through all these low-rated players till we get to 1600, the highest-rated player on here. At least right now, you know, maybe it only shows the online players, but then we'll be accused of cheating or something. I think that did happen a few times in my chess.com or whatever, like either because I would go AFK because I genuinely would go AFK for long periods of time, but then people think, oh, you must be doing something, or just because sometimes I would play well better than they expect or something. Or yeah, like if you beat like a high rated player viewer, then they'll say, oh, you're reading chat and they're helping you, which I always try not to do, but like, look, dude, he might be upset about it, but it's okay. I'm the one who should be upset. Like, I'm literally, self-banished from the two best chess sites, the two most active chess sites, just because I'm a clown and I keep failing my permanent challenges. So now I'm exiled to this shitty site that doesn't even let you pre-move, that doesn't even give you feedback on checks, that just is very basic, very limited player base, low rated average player base. Like, this is where I'm exiled to because of that. So I'm going to take it out on these shitty 1100 elo inflated clowns. It's hard for me to measure how this thing actually sounds, but I have to keep it pretty close to my mouth. Or like if I was interviewing somebody, I'm shoving it like up their throat, this fucking thing. Again, it's what I call the content creator mic. It's the one you always see in those videos. I've seen it in hundreds of videos, random people interviewing or whatever. They either have it clipped on their shirt or they have it, they're holding it out. It has the little fluff on top. It's like a Rode mic. But I'm sure there's other ones that look like that or similar function. But yeah, the Rode, wireless Rode mic. And I had one that was like a lavalier thing too, but I never used that for this. I just had that laying around. Where those are the more old school. You would clip it on, and that's almost like for short films and stuff. An actor, actress would clip it on somewhere where you couldn't see it, but it would still be on their person. Right. So this is similar, but this you wouldn't really be able to do that though because you can't conceal it. It's just it's very visible. Yeah, I mean, he didn't play badly. It was getting actually a little bit annoying because you keep loading up the threats and like at what point do you actually get to do something? And the answer is you could almost like put a rook on f4 and then unleash, like assuming, oh, I triple stack, and that's still not enough because he has the queen and all that there. But then I give a check with the thing, so the rook's on f4. Then I give an unleash check on the thing, on the king, with the bishop takes on f2, and then I take the bishop on c4. But then again, I can't even do that, assuming I could bait out one of the pawns and take it for free. I don't know, like what you would even do there. That's the problem. Is that little extra creative imagination that you have to have. That my problem is I try to avoid that too much at every turn. Just like in victory or in defeat. Right, like I'm usually pissed about it, but I guess I typically don't resign. I'll play it out, but I'm gonna get banned on here for trash talking the guy. I love how you get this message practically every day. Like sometimes it's the only message I get because either nobody else is watching or, you know, nobody's actually saying anything. But it's this fucking cheap viewers on this side or whatever. That's like insulting you twice, like saying that, oh, you're too poor to afford expensive viewers, whatever that would be, but also that you need them because your stream is shitty and dead. Both of which might be true, but I'm just saying. But yeah, this is just like a random thing, and then reconnecting 33 seconds. Yeah, I like how my whole motif of the shushing could fit with chess as well. Like the whole chess speaks for itself thing. Like be quiet and let the chess speak for itself. Or yeah, everybody was getting mad in like that freestyle thing, where like, oh, the fans were cheering and they could hear it and it was bothering them, and Fabiano even shushes them. Okay. So the thing is that we're gonna keep doing this. And I want to see who is gonna beat me or how they're gonna beat me, because it seems pretty much like it shouldn't happen. But that's a bit of a potentially bad move that he did, but also maybe a little scary, like he knows some kind of a trick if you attack really aggressively in the opening traps and shit. That's sometimes what you have to play off of, is like, if they assume you won't fall for traps, then they won't try them, but you very well might have. If you play like a really high rated player, they'll assume, oh, he's never going to fall for this, but you might have, but they're giving you the benefit of the doubt, so they won't even try it. And that's what, when you get to an intermediate to a high level of play, that's what happens. Maybe something would have worked, but you don't even try it because you assume they're too good. But that's never going to happen. You know, oh, Hikaru will blunder his queen, and it's like, you know, you miss it because you would think, oh, he's never going to do that. So this is takeable, pretty basic setup. Just take with the queen. Cover this, go like this. We would have had a bishop pair, but now we don't. Oh, shit. See, this is what I mean. He thinks I'm Hikaru because, oh, I would never make a mistake like that and just blunder my knight, especially when I do it so fast. But then I actually did. So, you know, that's something you'd never expect to happen. Which shows you that people aren't really looking then at the position or what's actually going on. They're just kind of assuming or looking at it very basically. But now You gotta push the pawns like crazy and try to do this. Fuck me. This is adequately covered. He's not really pushing his. I mean, he started off by pushing that, but I don't know what kind of nonsensical move that is. Let me stay true to my... Or actually, let's do that first, though. If he takes... Now I don't want to take... For some reason, I like to keep pushing those pawns, so now we'll get at something with this king, which can be very strong, but usually the engine tells you not to play like this. In these kind of situations, just like... Somehow, it's not actually a good thing to do, but... He's just giving that up for free. He's attacking this. And the worst thing that could happen with that is, okay, I'll just have to use the pawn to actually cover it instead, but it's a situation where I almost don't even mind if it means getting the queen off the board, but you know, it's not the end of the world with that. We just have to get a free pawn here. He's just giving up little incremental free pawns here and there. We can give a check here and do something. Or I'm letting him do this as well. I don't know. Now I'm starting to fuck up a little bit. So now he can lock in his rook here, even with that, which is annoying. If he takes, I take. Some of these people are pretty decent. I mean, he's certainly not bad. But in the worst case, it could end in a draw, and then he would just... In the worst case, it could end in a draw, and then it feels like he would... you know, I can still stay alive, then I don't have to win necessarily in that sense. Or you know what? No, but only that would work. Like then I take, then if he, no, but never mind. But it's like he'll take here maybe. Wait, what even? I didn't even see what happened. I guess I lost probably, but that was probably mate. If he, what the fuck? That was mate, I guess. On the, because I immediately clicked something that like took me out of there. Fuck. Now we could do the 961. But no, that was a legitimate challenge that I was almost trying to do there. Like try to become the highest rated player on the site, but does it show you like even in the exact order that, no, I guess it did, but then it was wanting me to unlock something. Rapid. So we actually lost that, which is kind of absurd. Um Like, yeah, how is that possible? Okay, we'll do the final thing, and then if I lose, I'll do fucking Clash of Clans, which was my other little mini series I'm doing. Or I could do a delisted game. Maybe I'll do Warhammer or something, but I think it's already gone. And I wouldn't want my first experience with that series to be like that either. But those are like my 3 series going on now, apparently. Clash of Clans, a free-to-play first playthrough, effectively, just kind of trying the game out at length. Then delisted games, just anything that's about to go offline, I'll just do before you won't have the chance to ever play it. That's about to be delisted or go offline, like the servers and stuff. If it's an online game, and then finally the this where either I'll do this little permadeath game mode rotation on here, like with the time formats and shit, or I sometimes play it too much like it's a normal thing, but oh, here we go, dude. He didn't even do it. Um, the thing is that either like these permanent rotation thing or the trying to beat the level 7 bot, I guess, or even trying to do the games like the permadeath game thing where it's like chess games on Steam and play each one until you lose a game or whatever. So you're pushing that like crazy. I take, it's no big deal. I hate the sort of canceling rules and shit in this that are kind of dumb. So either I could take, so I blundered my rook like already, which is very dumb. Do a check there. There's a temptation to move too fast, but you really shouldn't, or you really don't have to. Or it should let your timer start, and then the first move, if you want to look at the position for a long time, you should be able to do that. Right? If I want to use 5 out of my 10 minutes to do that, then that's fine, but you can't like cancel your moves with the right click the way I'm expecting to be able to do and stuff. So this is being double attacked. Kind of a weak, very basic threat. Okay, here again, I'm always the biggest fan of trading in general. You could go here. Sometimes it's just the basic things that you don't have to do anything even crazy. You can just kind of sit there and just, you know, win a couple pawns here and there. The way that I lose sometimes is so cinematic and crazy, like that last one. Like, how did I actually lose like that? So we could double take on here, but it still won't work. I could try to do the triple stack. You could unleash. You can unleash for sure, but maybe I almost don't even care. There honestly isn't such a great unleash that he can do. And in fact, now it wouldn't even matter because you unleash, but then I can just take with the rook. And now we can get the rarely seen triple stack. The very rarely is good. There was the one game I think I played yesterday, maybe, where it was actually telling me to do that. It must have been against the bot, where for once it was actually good. I keep like sort of doing that where I hold it over and then I don't mean to do it, but it's I don't know. Sometimes what you're doing is just like building up pressure. You might not even know or understand the full implication of it, but it's a situation where what can he even do? Isn't that? Oh, he has to just sack the rook for it. You can take here, which is cute. For once, I was trying to actually look for a mate instead of, oh shit, instead of just trying to trade everything all the time. But you go here. Now they all try to beat bad sports and take forever. Yeah, I feel like I can be pretty good at 960 at times just because, again, you don't have to worry about opening theory and shit. But also, what happens is you can't be as impatient at the beginning of the game. I always play it like, oh, it's just a normal game, and I'm trying to, do it like that. But you have to assess the position a bit. So again, 10-minute 960. If I lose this, then I'm done with this for the day. With chess. Yeah, it's ironic how I flipped from saying I would do only variants is what my interest was mainly to, oh, I want to do like regular chess till I get to a certain threshold. But yeah, look at this mobile casual game clown streamer where between Clash of Clans and this, and it's like, I keep saying Clash of Clans, Clash Royale and this, but that's the whole irony of stuff like that. Even if you were to say like, oh, checkers or something, you can make fun of it and say it's simple, but then imagine being the best player in the world at it. That would be extremely complicated and extremely, you could never beat that guy, or it would take you years to study. So just because something seems casual at the surface level doesn't mean that it's not can't be competitive too. So anything can be casual. You like what's something that would be considered hardcore, like Dark Souls, but you could play it casually if you want, just kind of chill and read the flavor text and use a lot of items and builds that make it easier and really explore and stuff. You could make that casual, or you could make something that's considered casual hardcore, like chess. You can study and take super seriously. It's like one of those tropes almost of like being nerdy or whatever. Like if you really want to take something seriously to that extreme, you can. It's just like most people wouldn't want to or wouldn't bother or think it's dumb. Like, okay, it's a novelty, but we don't really want to spend years and years studying and reading books and stuff. Which is not even an excuse at the highest level to say like, oh, how come I'm not? Oh, you could be like the super grandmaster if you did those things, but it's more just a requirement. It's not like, oh, if you did those things, you would be a super GM for sure. No, but if you don't do those things, then you have no chance of even being that. So um so that comes first. So there's no shame in it if like, oh, you're just not trying to do that. It's not a career to you, or it's not super important to you. So you got to come up with a bit of a plan as far as what you want to do here. And the reason why is because you can end up in these kind of hard stuck positions at the beginning where like, oh, you just can't protect something if you don't do it right away. Like even there would have been potentially bad. Best thing is you always want to develop and threaten at the same time if you can, because feel like that could be, oh my goodness, I'm trapped or something dumb, but in reality, you're not. It's just this pawn is takeable. But yeah, like weird stuff like that can happen just at the beginning in a way that he's doing a good job with the knight to constrain the movement of this, but it's a situation where if he raises it, I could take, he could take, I can't take. So if you take, I take. I do want to get rid of this knight because it's kind of irritating me with the whole, like, stopping me from developing my bishop. You could put it here because then, oh, I can't take otherwise. Otherwise, the thing takes, but is that really that big of a what? Okay. So yeah, and you could have gone there. It's not that big of a deal, but it could be sort of self-pinning, but I can always just move the king. So this is a relatively comfortable castling spot, although the queen could go like right there right now, but it's by itself. This felt like a very defensive kind of setup from the beginning, just because it was so hard to develop some of these pieces. So that maybe is a bit of a blind spot. I can still deal with it, but he doesn't do it quite all the way. And again, the queen is in such a spot that's just kind of annoying right now. Because he goes there, I can cover and do that. He might bring the bishop, but then I take. Bring the knight, take. Oh yeah, these castles kind of piss me off. I find them kind of dumb. You do that though, then he can go there and then it doesn't solve anything. So he has the bishop pair going in that direction, but it's not really that big of a deal. The queen has been pinned on this for too long. So yeah, let's try to address this. He might try to bring in the light square bishop, but he can't do it without blocking the other one. So it may take him some time. So if he takes, I take. He takes, I still take. The other knight isn't really doing much of anything, unfortunately. So you take, attacking this, attacking two knights, two bishops in a row. The greatest insult I could ever give is calling the bishop a knight. I could take, I mean, again, we're just baiting more so for the trade. But if he's a good player, he wouldn't do it. There's a temptation with this exchange that he would take, I would take. Then either I set this here for the rest of the game, or I could take here and I'm attacking both bishops in a row, which doesn't even do a whole lot because he can just move it, but somehow it just seemed interesting to me. Now we block off the dark square diagonal. The knight can't come in, the bishops are blocked, the rook is blocked, so this is a good defensive kind of structure that we're in. And so now you sit it here so that if he moves this and I take. And I kind of want to keep putting pressure here, but it's a situation that is not quite that simple. And so this one almost seems impossible to cover, come to think of it. Right? This is one of those mathematical anomalies, just like you can't cover it. Now, what might happen is you trap me or something after the fact, but that really shouldn't happen either. That's what can be boring too about like calculation and stuff. If you just do it, then you realize, oh, well, you'll know for sure. So either you'll know that's fine because of this, or it's not. So it leaves less to intrigue. Like you kind of know everything. So now you could take, and then I can't take back. I do have the rook there, and he can't necessarily even attack it, but it's a situation where I almost was thinking of going here just because of the open file thing. So he's badly wants to do his thing here. The light square bishop, but both of our bishops were kind of in that similar spot. My dark square bishop was very hard to use, and in fact, even now it's not doing a ton. But we could sort of fork this, which is a bit of a fake fork, if he moves the knight, or I can take the bishop. Got to be something more I can still do with this. This could be good because if he takes, I take. I could be sort of constraining my rook though too much. So if he raises this, then everything. Okay. Now the problem is he might get the rook out of this. He won't because I'll go like here and down, but theoretically that could have been good for him. I could like take here. If he takes, I can't take. If I go down here, he can't necessarily attack it. We go here. He's gonna move the knight and then try to do it, but then I can move this up by then. If I take, he takes. So the obvious thing there is the pin, but my position is sort of uncomfortable. So this is pin, so I could bring this to cover, but then he can still do it. Now if he does it, I could just take. Then he could still take, but it's fine. Or we close off the light square bishop's impact. He's been in purgatory the whole game. I mean, he struggled so much to get him even involved and active. So you take, I take, you take again. So it's sort of pinned there, but then you can't necessarily attack it again, or you go like this. But it is double covered. You give a check there. Could be a problem. In fact, this could be very bad. But then I just take with the thing. If you go here and you check, I don't know. So my rook is kind of in a bad spot now where it's not doing a whole lot. So you're double attacking this. You could almost triple attack it. It's a very tough defensive kind of thing where I'm making a stand, but he's gonna potentially win a piece here by loading up. He goes here with the knight. I can just take it if he goes here with the knight. It's bad because I have to back off of that. Yeah, okay. But the thing is, see, where can he go that's really good? And the answer is, the problem is it'd be checked from two ways. So it's like, oh, I could take this back, but then I can't because of that. So now if you take, I take. He's putting so much effort into doing this, but it's still not adding up to anything yet. I could potentially take a pawn. I could take this. So now he can't unleash into like a check though. In fact, that's even a bad thing because the unleash would let me take that for free. So now if I attack the thing, I take. So yeah, he's stuck himself a little bit because if he moves the knight, I take the rook. If I just put a ton of pressure on the knight, like with the bishop here, the knight there, then that could be very strong. So again, whatever you do, the rook is the weak link there. And none of this is that big of a deal though, because I would take, he would take, I would take, he would take, I would take, he would still take. Maybe that was a bit of a cop out for him, but I couldn't exactly attack it anymore. So now that pawn can't move. Otherwise, I can take it, take the rook. Assuming that this side is a wash, what if I try to focus on the other side? And he has to focus on to here. But now if you raise it, I take. He could have gone like behind it there though. So I'm trying to almost get in there and do stuff, but then he's gonna potentially take as well. I could check and take there. Like I don't have really the winning mentality here, but Like this we've already gotten. He could take that, but we've already gotten this because right, whatever you try to do with this, we objectively he can't cover it enough. So he might try to take advantage with that, but it may not matter. He gives a check. Covers, I can still adequately attack it. We need at least one pawn alive. This is such an intense game though. See, why should a 1200 elo inflated kind of matchup in 960 of all things still end in a draw in this way? This is the problem with the drawish nature of the game. Somehow this always happens. Especially, I guess, my style of play leads here because I play sort of trade heavy and defensive, so I almost try to play for that, but target it here, I could attack it again. But now you can't go to cover your own, so you almost have to do that. Now you can't give a check even, so you just have to move away. But yeah, like all these repetitive checks in the end game can be so annoying sometimes. So this should probably just be still a draw. You can attack it there, which was a big mistake. I shouldn't have done that. Can he actually do this now or what? Sometimes you can stop this. Right, where it's still at forced draw, but at least time-wise it could be difficult, but then again, I'm lower on time. It's not like I really know how to do this, but there should be a way to still stop it. Maybe not. That is so fucking dumb, man. Okay, draw, that's fine with me because, again, that's always my condition, which is a bit of a cop-out in chess. Like, oh, if I lose, like, I'll play until I lose, but draws don't count as a loss, so I can still keep going. So you can always survive on the technicality of a draw. I think that's just ridiculous, though, that I don't understand. This is 960 at a low rating where draws should be super unlikely. And then we still end up in that kind of position, even though I was going to lose. It's just a case of how do you get those kind of stale endgame positions? Because I trade a lot. Like, then people will blame me, like, oh, it's not a fault of the game. It's a fault of how you play it, but it's kind of like you can just kind of tell that's where it's going. That's almost the right way to do it. You know, you climb the ranks and you start to draw a lot of people. But to be truly good, you have to have that sort of offensive initiative or offensive imagination. You can't just always rely on this shit. You can't rely on
I try to play it safe or take the easy way or try to minimize everything, which it can work to a degree, and sometimes that can be valuable, but it's not always going to work, and you have to be willing to attack a little more.
So you've seen multiple draws at this low rating already, which is utterly stupid. Not in just 960, but in just the regular chess as well. I'm telling you, that always would consistently happen. Right? Because you play at a moderate level, you trade a lot of pieces, you play kind of evenly. You'll both make mistakes, but you'll either both of you are too dumb to punish them and see the mistakes, or it evens out. So like, okay, I'll make a mistake, but he'll miss it. Then he'll make a mistake, but I'll miss it. And you might say, oh, that's just dumb, but that's why it's a draw because it's evenly matched. So we're not always going to see everything that would be sometimes more nuanced. That if you saw that, you'd be better. Or let me try to unleash the bishops here a little bit. I don't care too much about the pawns per se, but it is. Resign. But why? I wasn't doing anything crazy. I mean, they didn't blunder anything. Or maybe I didn't even see it. See, sometimes you're not even looking at people that way. Like, again, you're not expecting them to make a mistake. I feel like that probably happens a lot in the opening. People practically pre-move the opening, so if they do something unexpected, you might blunder a piece. Or they a piece might be blundered in the opening, but then you miss it because you're not expecting that. So even at the high level, that can happen. Yeah, that's the sin of chess is like where you try to move too fast or you act like you know what you're doing too much so you don't think about it. Even Alireza is guilty of that, like against Fabiano, where like he loses effectively in 9 moves. He could see it after the fact and he knew it was bad, but he didn't think of it in the moment or whatever. And like chess is one of those kind of know-it-all type games too, where it's like, oh, don't you know this obvious thing that in 1965 this player explained how this, or in this famous game between Bobby Fischer and this guy, this trick was used and this trap was used. Like, yes, there might be an explanation for everything, or a name for everything, like every opening or whatever, but that doesn't mean that you know all of them all the time and can recall them just like that, right? So it's a very hindsight type of game. Well, obviously you shouldn't have done that sequence of moves because it leads to this outcome that, oh, that's well established and well known. It might be, but you're not always going to know those things. Or again, even if you have studied everything, you're not going to know it in the spur of the moment all the time, to draw upon that. So maybe I should just end off with that one. The fact that, how do you even cancel the queue? Probably over here. No, I didn't. I didn't mean to even do that. Everything here is too finicky. Like it just kind of. I don't know why I can't get anything going. The bishops are actually in a pretty marvelous position. He just doesn't stop me the way the other guy did from putting the thing there. Now that's cute, but guess what I just did? I just blundered my shit. So like this is what I mean with the openings being so dumb. He would take, I would take, he would have to take. So no, but I just blundered my bishop in trying to do that. Okay, dude. Okay, that's unfortunate. We start off very badly. This is why it'll turn into a draw, though. Like, I'll recover, but then it's just kind of dumb. So, Always looking for like the easy way out. But I like how I modeled and created like my own system honestly based on that. Just like the laziness of not wanting to calculate too much or whatever, think too much. Yeah, the bishops in this game were in a very prime position, but it's just a problem of um the problem with it is the fact that I don't know. Yeah, he would take, I would take, and then if he takes, I take the queen. So even though it seems kind of cute, right? I should always be able to take like the bishop. Let's say if you take, I take, I don't care. I kind of fixate too much on that one thing that, oh, the pawn, whatever, that eventually should come into play. But once again, I actually blunder, like I can't do it. He actually lets me do it too, but it's like, I don't know what happened. I can't even explain it. So he's up a piece. Yeah, it's like me trying to go for too many cute things over a period of time that I just don't need to be doing. And it's just kind of dumb. Right? I kept trying to press that threat. And then he eventually makes pretty good, you know. It was like part of his plan, even when it did sort of work. And oh, I get the queen. It doesn't matter because you. Okay. And if I do this exactly right, you might actually have a chance, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pawns, 5 pawns, so he's up just a straight net piece. You can kind of go under here, that's a good move. Yeah, I moved too fast, kind of too flippantly, too too much like you could go here now and I'm screwed. I don't know what it was, like too aggressive and too much tunnel vision on the same kind of idea for too long. I'm trying not to trade actually, but yeah, everybody's just you know, I'll try to role play as Kramnik, I guess. Everybody is just, even though I'm not accusing that, it's like everybody is just so good, everything's just so clear to you. Like how? How are you people so good? You're a random 1200 clown. You might think, oh, I'm not so special, but like how does this happen? And I'm just blundering pieces from the beginning too, but maybe if I get a stalemate, it will be a draw and still be fine. but it's not. Okay, that's fine.